School of Management Studies, IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 006 Marketing Management for MBA program. Block 2 Product and Pricing Decisions. Unit 8 Pricing Decisions Part 3.
Pricing of industrial goods. For many consumer products, buyers are not usually aware of the prevailing prices. Products falling in the category of luxury goods and items not frequently purchased would constitute such goods. Consumers, of course, are usually aware of their regularly purchased items like groceries and the allied. On the contrary, buyers of industrial goods tend to be price conscious. They are keen to check what they get for the price they pay. They also tend to act more rationally than an average buyer of consumer goods. Their knowledge of markets is more intensive and exact, if not perfect. Very often, the buyer of an industrial product knows or at least can make a guess of the cost of manufacture. Product differentiation is easier in industrial goods than in consumer goods by number 1. Providing better service in connection with delivery, use or installation, and number 2. Building a reputation for reliability or quality of workmanship. Moreover, product differentiation results much more from product differences that generate provable claims. Branding therefore plays a much less important role in the marketing of industrial goods than in the case of consumer goods. Price leadership is a very common phenomenon in the industrial goods market. The price elasticity of the demand for an industrial product would depend to some extent. The price elasticity of the demand for an industrial product would depend to some extent on how important its price is in the general cost structure of the using firm. If it represents a significant element, a reduction in price may lead to a substantial increase in demand. If it is not, a change in price may not lead to a change in demand. The demand for equipment, however, is much less price elastic because the price of the equipment is a part of the overhead cost which cannot be readily identified. Pricing during the life cycle of a product. Many products generally have a characteristic known as perishable distinctiveness. This means that a product which is distinct when new degenerates over the years into a common commodity. The process by which the distinctiveness gradually disappears as the product merges with other competitive products has been rightly termed by Joel Dean as the cycle of competitive degeneration. The cycle begins with the invention of a new product and is often followed by patent protection and further development to make it saleable. This is usually followed by a rapid expansion in its sales as the product gains market acceptance. Then competitor enters the field with imitation and rival products and the distinctiveness of the new product starts diminishing. The speed of degeneration differs from product to product. The innovation of a new product and its degeneration into a common product is termed as the life cycle of a product. There are 5 distinct stages in the life cycle of a product. Number 1. Introduction. Research or engineering skill leads to product development. The product is put on the market. Awareness and acceptance are minimal. There are high promotional costs. Volume of sales is low and there may be heavy losses. Number 2. Growth. the product begins to make rapid sales gains because of the cumulative effects of introductory promotion, distribution, and word-of-mouth influence. High and sharply rising profits may be witnessed. But to sustain growth, consumer satisfaction must be ensured at this stage. Number 3. Maturity. Sales growth continues but at a diminishing rate because of the declining number of potential customers who remain unaware of the product or who have taken no action. There is no improvement in the product, but changes in selling effort are common. Profit margins slip despite rising sales. Number 4. Saturation. Sales reach and remain on a plateau marked by the level of replacement demand. There is little additional demand to be stimulated. And number 5. Decline. Sales begin to diminish absolutely as the customers begin to tire of the product and the product is gradually edged out by better products or substitutes. It may be noted that products may begin a new cycle or revert to an early stage as a result of the discovery of new uses, the appearance of new users, and introduction of new features. As the distinctiveness of the products fades, the pricing discretion enjoyed by their producers gradually declines. This is what happened in the case of many products like transistors, radios, pagers, Walkmans, audio systems, mopeds, etc. Throughout the cycle, changes take place in price and promotional elasticity of demand, as also in the production and distribution cost of the product. Pricing policy, therefore, must be adjusted over the various phases of the cycle. Let us know the pricing policy in the pioneering stage and the maturity stage of a product. Pricing a new product. The basic question is whether to charge a high skimming initial price or a low penetration price. If a skimming price is adopted, the initial price is very high. The policy may be held for varying periods of time, indefinitely if the product enjoys valid and defensible patent protection, but usually it is not longer than the time necessary for competitors to study the product's usefulness, to decide what to do about it, and to prepare for making it, a period ranging from a few weeks to as much as 2 years. After this period, the price is apt to drop precipitately and over a period of few years to approach the usual or customary margin above cost that is common in the industry. In case of penetration pricing, the initial price of the new product is apt to be somewhere near what may be expected to be the usual or customary level once competitors enter the field, generally only slightly above the level. If the initial price is properly fixed, only minor adjustment would have to be made if and when competition develops. A high initial price or skimming price together with heavy promotional expenditure may be used to launch a new product if conditions are appropriate. For example, number 1. Demand is likely to be less price elastic in the early stages than later, since high prices are unlikely to deter pioneering consumers. A new product, being a novelty, commands a better price. Again, at least in the early stages, the product has so few close rivals that cross-elasticity of demand is low. Number 2. If the life of product promises to be a short one, a high initial price helps in getting as much of it and as fast as possible. Number 3. Such a policy can provide the basis for dividing the market into segments of differing elasticities. Hardbound edition of a book is usually followed by a paperback. Number 4. A high initial price may be useful if a high degree of production skill is needed to make the product so that it is difficult and time consuming for competitors to enter on an economical basis. And number 5, it is a safe policy where elasticity is not known and the product not yet accepted. High initial price may finance the heavy cost of introducing a new product when uncertainties block the usual sources of capital. The benefits of reduction in product cost due to larger volume and technological developments can be passed on to consumers by a gradual reduction in prices. For instance, penicillin and streptomycin were introduced at a high initial price but are now very reasonably priced. Penicillin and streptomycin were introduced at a high initial price but are now very reasonably priced. Internationally, the first ballpoint pen produced in 1945 at a cost of 80 cents sold at $12.5. Now they are available at less than 50 cents. So is the case with most electronic components. Number 2, a low penetration price. In certain conditions, it can be successful in expanding the market rapidly, thereby obtaining larger sales volume and lower unit cost. It is appropriate where, number 1, sales respond quickly and strongly to low prices. Number 2, there are substantial cost savings from volume production. Number 3, the product is acceptable to the mass of consumers. Number 4, there is no strong patent protection. And number 5, there is a threat of potential competition so that a big share of the market must be captured quickly. The objectives of low penetration price are to raise barriers against the entry of prospective competitors. Change in price. Reduction in prices. A reduced price may be made to achieve certain objectives. They are: number 1, prices may be reduced to offset a possible loss of sales resulting from a lower advertising budget. Number 2, when a firm is expanding its capacity, temporary price cut may help the new plant to reach capacity operation more quickly. Number 3, lower prices may help the firm to broaden the market for its products. Number 4, prices may have to be reduced to meet competitive pressures from domestic or foreign companies producing the same product or substitute products. Number 5, prices may be reduced drastically to prevent the entry of potential competitors. And number 6, technological developments may lead to reduced cost and manufacturers may wish to pass on the benefit to the consumers. Shri Ram Chemicals have often reduced their prices as a result of advanced promotion techniques and better utilization of installed capacity. DCM Data Products dramatically reduced the prices of their calculators in September 1976 because of economies of scale. These are a couple of examples of price revisions during the 70s and the reasons thereof. You may observe and analyze price revisions and the possible reasons for various products or categories and services in the current business and competitive environment of different firms. Price reduction in individual drugs has always been a normal feature of the operations of the drugs industry both in India and abroad. Competition among drug manufacturers is becoming an increasingly important factor, leading to voluntary price reductions wherever cost reduction of greater efficiency has made them possible. Whether a reduction in price would help a firm to increase sales depends upon how the consumers react to the reduction. As has been pointed out earlier, consumers rely on prices as an indicator of quality. Reduction in price may give rise to an apprehension that quality has gone down, and a reduction in price may decrease sales unless special steps are taken to prove that the quality is maintained. Increase in prices. Very often, a company might face a situation where cost may have increased and it might wonder whether to increase prices or not. The decision would depend on how demand would be affected by such an increase in prices. In fact, prices are usually increased where the market demand is strong and the business is having a boom. Prices are normally never increased during periods of depression and falling incomes. Thus, while it may be true that costs may be rising at the time prices are increased, it is the rising demand that makes it possible to pass on the increase in cost to customers without any adverse effect on sales. Nature and use of price discounts. There are two popular types of discounts: quantity discounts and cash discounts. Quantity discounts. Quantity discounts are price reductions related to the quantities purchased. Quantity discounts may be related to the size of the order being measured in terms of physical units of a particular commodity. This is practicable where the commodities are homogeneous or identical in nature, or where they may be measured in terms of truckloads. However, this method is not possible in case of heterogeneous commodities which are hard to add in terms of physical units or truckloads. Drug industry, textile industry, and building material offer examples of these types. Here, quantity discounts are based upon the rupee value of the quantity ordered. Rupee becomes a common denominator of value. Quantity discounts based on physical units become important where the cost of packing is a significant factor and orders of less than standard qualities, say less than a case of 6 pressure cookers, may involve higher packing charges per cooker since the space remains unutilized. Thus, quantity discounts may be employed to induce full carton purchasing. In some cases, quantity discounts may be based on the cumulative purchases made during a particular period, usually a year or a season. For example, Diwali discounts may be given on the basis of cumulative purchases made during the Diwali season spread over September to November. One important objective of quantity discounts is to reduce the number of small orders and thereby avoid the high cost of servicing them. Quantity discounts can facilitate economic size order in 3 ways. Number 1, a given set of customers is encouraged to buy the same quantity but in bigger lots. Number 2, the customers may be induced to give the seller a larger share of their total requirements by giving preference over competitors. Number 3, small size purchasers may be discouraged and bigger size customers may be attracted. In many cases, discounts become a matter of trade customers. Quantity discounts are most useful in the marketing of materials and supplies but are rarely used for marketing equipment and components. Cash discounts. Cash discounts are price reductions based on promptness of payment. An example of discount can be 2% off if paid in 10 days, full invoice price in 30 days. In practice, the size of cash discount may vary widely with changing times. Cash discount is a convenient device to identify and overcome bad credit risk. In certain trades where credit risk is high, cash discount would be high. If a buyer decides to purchase goods on credit, this reflects his weak bargaining position and he has to pay a higher price by foregoing the cash discount. By prompt collections, manufacturers reduce their working capital requirements and thus save their interest cost. However, allowing discounts may involve paying 36.5% in order to save 18%. On the basis of 2% off if paid in 10 days, full invoice price in 30 days, the seller's cost comes to 36.5%. For getting the money 20 days before, he has to lose 2%, which amounts to 36.5% per year. He could get accommodation from any bank at about 18%. Thus, it is a reduction in collection expenses and in risk rather than savings on interest, which should be the guiding consideration for cash discounts. Kindly note that the mentioned discount rates are only to explain how cash discounts were offered in the past. You may study the current cash discounts offered across businesses and their impact and implications both for the seller as well as for the buyer. Product positioning and price. By positioning, we mean the way a product is viewed by the customers in comparison with similar products. All aspects of the marketing mix must be coordinated to place the product in the right position in the market segment aimed at the right time. Price is just one element of the marketing mix and it must reflect the product's position in the market. A toilet soap meant to be a novelty to attract the elite must be sold at a higher price. This is the basic idea behind product differentiation. That is, to avoid a situation where the product has to compete only on the basis of price alone. Non-price competition. The basic aim of non-price competition is to alter those characteristics of the product other than price which influence the decision of the buyers. The basic aim of non-price competition is to alter those characteristics of the product other than price which influence the decision of the buyers. The various forms of non-price competition are: Number 1. Advertising and creating brand loyalties. Number 2. Changes in the quality of goods and services. Number 3. Prompt deliveries. Number 4. Free gifts and contests. And number 5. Better after-sales service. The more complex the product, the greater are the characteristics which could be modified in response to customer taste or as a result of changes in technology. Among the major factors responsible for the growth of non-price competition are: Number 1. The tendency towards price uniformity. Number 2. Desire to hold customers on the basis of attributes other than price. For example, convenience and early deliveries or longer period of guarantee. Number 3. Adoption of measures necessary even to make price competition effective. From the point of view of consumers, non-price competition is a boom as they may get better quality goods and services. Now let's summarize the unit. Pricing is an important element of the marketing mix. Pricing is affected not only by the cost of manufacturing the product, but also by number 1, the company's objectives in relation to market share and sales. Number 2, the nature and intensity of competition. Number 3, stage of the product life cycle at which the product is currently positioned. Number 4, nature of product, whether as consumer or industrial product, and if the former, whether it is a luxury or necessity. Before making any pricing decision, it is important to understand all these factors. There are various methods of pricing. The four most commonly used methods are full cost pricing, pricing for a rate of return, going rate pricing, and customary pricing. While the first two methods are based on the cost incurred, the latter methods are based on the competition's pricing. While from the company's point of view, price represents a king of maximum that it can charge given its own cost and nature of competition, from the customer's viewpoint, it is a representation of quality of the product. Thus, in many cases, high price is associated with good quality and vice versa. Before designing the pricing strategy in which the choice is between penetrative and skimming pricing, the marketer must fully understand the connotation of price to a customer. In sum, a reduction in price may lead to an increase in sales, while in other cases it may not. This is especially true in case of industrial products, where the buyer may be more concerned with quality, reliability, delivery schedules, and after-sales services of the product rather than merely the price. Rather than a reduced price, what may be more relevant is price discounts in the form of quantity or cash discounts.
We were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program, course code Mmpc 006, Marketing Management. Course Coordinator Professor T.V. Vijay Kumar, School of Management Studies IGNOU. Edited by Savita. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.